Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing great. In this tutorial, we are going to look at how to move your cube in Unity. This tutorial is designed specifically for absolute beginners and let's deep dive into it. I'm assuming that you are familiar with the creation of the project in Unity as well as the basic interface of the Unity like hierarchy and inspector tab. Let me take a 3D object plane on which I will make my player to stand. If your position is not set to 000, you can simply right click on transform and then click reset. It will set your position to 00 and scale to 111. Now I'm going to take my player, I'm gonna take a cube and I'm gonna rename it as player on which I'm going to attach my. Let's bring our player up above the plane like this. Now I'm gonna create material. It means like I'm going to add colors to our game objects. I'm gonna create a folder that is named as materials, and inside it I'm going to create two materials. Let's name it as player material and another one as plain material. Material plain material. All right. I'm going to choose color for my player. For right now, I'm going to choose the pink color. Alright, I can drag it over here as well as I can simply put it over here. Now I'm gonna drag it over to my player. For plain, I'm going to choose the black color simply like this, and I'm gonna drag it over my plane. Alright, now colors are set for my game objects. Now if I will click and look in the inspector panel, like different components are attached to our player. The first component that is attached to is the transform. Transform is the basically the built-in class inside Unity, and every game object has it. Like if you will create the empty game object, this will also has only the transform component. If we will look closely inside the transform, like there are three components: position, rotation, and scale. Position actually corresponds to the position inside the x-axis, y-axis, and the z-axis. Let's think of your class in which like you plot graphs on x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis, and the points used to be on different locations based on the value of x, y, and rotation actually corresponds the angle at which our game object is placed. Like if I'm changing, if I will rotate it to 45-degree, like cube will be like this, and on 90 degrees my cube will be like this, and on x-axis I will rotate it to 45 degrees and z-axis as well. You can rotate it to at any angle which you want. And scale basically corresponds to the size of your game object. You can like click R on your keyboard to select this, and you can simply put like in which x, y, and z components on whatever you want to increase its size. You can basically increase size by using the scale component. Okay, let's reset this transform back to its position, and I'm gonna press W, and I'm gonna set this position up above the plane. Alright, now if you will look closely, if I am changing its position, it looks like my cube is moving, and this is nothing but just I'm changing the positions of the x-axis. I can also do it by using the scripting. Now the question arises, why do we use scripting? As we know, our game objects are dumb. We have to bring them into life in our game, and we can simply tell them by using scripting. Scripting is just coding, and we are going to use C# scripting inside that, and we are going to use the editor. Let's create a folder name scripts. It's a very good practice that you keep your scripts and materials in different folders. It's very useful when you create your big projects. Okay, I'm gonna name it as player controller, and let's open it up. Alright, now I have opened my Visual Studio. It's telling my code editor that it's using Unity engine, and like there are many built-in classes. The name I put in my script is now the name of the class player controller, and like right there are two functions, start and update. Start is called once per frame and update is called 60 frame per second. And it's basically depend on your hardware, like on which frames your editor actually runs on. If I will write transform.Translate means I'm going to move my component. If I will look at the definition of the transform.Transform, it's asking me to tell the vector 3 position. Vector 3 corresponds to, like, if I want to move my inside the z-axis, inside the x-axis, or inside the y-axis. Now, actually transform is corresponding to this. Transform.Translate is using this position. It's actually going to change its x-axis position. Now I'm going to tell my cube that you have to move towards x-axis. Now how I'm gonna tell my cube, like, move towards x-axis? Right. I'm going to tell my cube that 0 0.5, 0 0.5, I'm using 0 0.5 position. Like, if it's 0, then it's gonna increase to 0 0.5, then 1, and all that. 0 0.5, I don't want to move my cube inside the y direction, that's why I'm putting 0 over here, and 0 on z-axis as well, because I'm moving my cube inside only x direction. And I'm putting f because inside C sharp you have to tell its float value and you have to put f at the end of your value. If you will play your game right now, you will look like there is no changing inside of a gameplay. Can you figure out the reason why it's not? Because I have not applied the script to my game object. My Unity doesn't know on which I have to apply the script. This is very important. You have to apply a script to your game object. Now I can, like, simply click on my player, add component. You can click on add component, or type it our player controller, here it is, or I can simply click on my player and drop it, and simply drop it over here. Alright, or you can simply drag it, drop, and over here. Alright, now it has player controller script. Let me leave. Let's play now. Check it out. I firstly placed my transform as translate inside the start function, but now I'm going to place it inside the update function, that is called almost 60 frame per second. Like, press Ctrl S and open your game object and open your Unity project. Alright, it's reloading the scripts, and then press play. Oops, this is too fast. This happens because frames depend, and if you will look at the transform, it's keep on moving inside the x. It's basically not inside of a frame, but it's moving, still it's moving. There is not break inside it. Let me just stop it, and let me just alter it a little bit. If I will multiply it with time dot delta time. Alright, press Ctrl S and reload script assemblies, and if I will play click, then it will move per second, not per frame. Now basically it's not dependent on your hardware per frame. Look, it's moving per frame, like it's somehow bearable because it's not moving too fast. It doesn't depend on your hardware now, it depends, it's moving per second. Alright, it's moving itself, but now I want to move my player when user hit right, when user hit the key right or left. Then, and only then, I want to move my player, otherwise I don't want to move it. Now I can do it by using the input system that is basically built inside the Unity. Alright, I'm going to implement it, and I'm going to declare, let me declare it public first so that you can get idea. Float horizontal input, and second I want to take the vertical input. Vertical inputs will correspond to the keys W and S, and up and right, up and down arrow keys, and horizontal input will correspond to the A and D, and left or right arrow keys. Alright, I'm going to give you the reference of it, like how I'm using it. Go to the, let me give you the reference which input system I'm talking about. I'm going to the edit panel, then project settings and input manager. If you will look, there is one class, this is axis, and on horizontal axis A and D keys and left and right arrows are defined, and for vertical input there is S, W and up and down keys are defined. This is what I'm talking about. And for this public, using this access specifier, I'm getting its horizontal input and vertical input inside our inspector panel. Like if I will open my inspector panel, right here it's showing like horizontal input and vertical input, because I have set access specifier to public. If I will set my access specifier to private, then I will only be able to access inside my script, not inside my panel. Okay, now I have specified the variables of horizontal input and vertical input, but I'm going to make a reference to them by using by telling them like I'm using the input manager access. Input dot get access, and inside it I'm going to put the string name will be horizontal. Alright, same with the vertical input, equals to input dot get access. We will get into get access raw, and for now we are only using get access. Alright, press Ctrl S, and if you will look inside the inspector panel, let me tell you why I have declared the value to float. Float means like they return the access that is pre-built returns the values between -1 to 1. Let's check. If I will press If I am pressing the right arrow key, look, its value is increasing up to 1. It's not increasing further. Alright, it decreased to 0, like no key is being pressed. Now, if I will press, the left arrow key, then what's gonna happen? It's increasing its value towards -1. Like if I'm pressing the right arrow key, its value is increasing towards +1, and the maximum is the +1. And if I am pressing the left arrow key, its value is decreasing towards minus, and the maximum value it attain is the -1. Same goes for the vertical input. If I am pressing the up above arrow key, then its maximum value is 1, and if down corresponds to the -1. I haven't attached it to my players, that's why our player is unaffected till now, and it's moving per frame, not per frame, per second towards the x-axis by 0.5 f. Alright, this horizontal corresponds to the this name. It's very case sensitive, like if you will just place the small edge, it's not gonna work. The string over here, like horizontal and vertical, it should be same that we are pressing it. Like I'm just making it reference, like horizontal input gonna use the access, pre-built access of the unity inside its component. All right, and I'm gonna comment this line, and now we will move our player according when our player will press the keys that we have specified. I will press transform.Translate, and I want my let me close it. I want my player, like I want my player to move. If my player press left and right, then it will move towards x and x-axis. Like if we will press right, then it will move towards this, and if we will press left arrow key, then it will move over here. And to move towards using the up and down arrow keys, it's gonna use the z-axis. So we're gonna put values over here. Until now we have specified the axis. Now I'm gonna move my player using transform.Translate. translate. I have set the values to the private because I don't want the need inside the inspector. That was only for your understanding. Let me specify the speed as well. I'm going to set the speed to 5.0f. Alright, transform.Translate. Transform.Translate, like if my user press horizontal input, then it should move towards in the x-axis, multiply by speed, multiply by time dot delta time. So it moves per second, not per frame. I don't want my player to move inside the y direction because I don't want to. I will move my player inside the y axis only when I want my player to jump. We will do that as well. All right, and when our player press vertical input, it should move with speed and with time dot delta time. Press Control S, and it's gonna reload the scripts, and let's specify the camera as well, camera and player as well. You can click right mouse button and AWSD keys to move around. All right, I'm gonna set my player and I'm gonna use the inside the game menu. I'm gonna click on the main camera and then control shift F to move my player towards here. Alright, now just play our game. I am pressing right, I'm pressing right arrow key, and now I'm pressing left arrow. If I am pressing this, it's moving in the Z direction, and if I'm pressing the down, it's moving in the minus Z direction. Alright, that's it for today's video. We have looked at how to move our player using the transform.Translate. In my next video, I'm going to tell you like how can we move our player using the rigid body and why this method is not using in further projects and etc. We not gonna use transform.Translate because it has some disadvantages, and I'm gonna tell you like why we use rigid body and why we prefer to move our player using the rigid body than using transform.Translate. Stay tuned. Until then, keep growing, keep learning.